Okay, hey, we're asking people if you could come to the front, please. If everybody can sort of come up to the front, that would be great. Thank you. Okay, thanks everybody for your patience. We have plenty more to hear. So the next three, Cheyenne Watson, Sal Calgano, and Jose Vega. Jose? That's me. Yes. Is Sal Calgano here? Sal? Okay, we're going to give him a break because maybe he's getting lunch. Kenneth Katta, K-A-T-T-A, is here? No? All right, how about William Russo? Okay, come on up. All right. So we'll start with Cheyenne, and then William, and then Jose.
Hi, I'm Cheyenne Watson, and I'm a representative from CSI High School for International Studies. I mainly wanted to address very quickly that after we speak, that me and my group will have to leave because our bus is outside. If I were to reiterate anything...
If I may interrupt, I just want to say thank you so much to the teachers and to the students who have come, and we'll allow applause for that. Okay. Thank you. Beautiful. I don't know if I should have broken protocol, but this once, and we'll try to stay back. Okay.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity. It's a real resume booster.
Okay, Cheyenne. Okay. We're having a disrupt. Okay, go ahead, Cheyenne. Let's continue.
I wanted to say that if I were to reiterate anything that was said today, it would possibly be only a drop of water in a huge ocean of pressing issues that we should discuss, but are probably not best discussed in a format such as this, or maybe not in one instance. More than anything, I'd want to reiterate the fact that there is no useful point in really taking down the statue. As many have said, it is an object and it is something of importance to many people. The historical facts and figures of Christopher Columbus, or any figure that has a statue, either here in New York or here in America really, aside, and I've been to advanced placement U.S. history alongside Panya. I could give you a whole bunch of facts and figures. That's not the point. The point is to have a more holistic view of history as it is. And I say this as not only a student, as not only a millennial, or even a person of color. It's just something that should be done. If we are to keep Columbus's statues, we also have to open our minds to many other monuments involved in America's creation. Because as important as he is, and as integral he is to the American story, many other figures, from the youngest to the oldest, of many different shades of people, many different shades and backgrounds, are also important. And if we do that, then we'll avoid not only controversy, but conflict, degradation of present figures or past figures, and we'll open up the people of tomorrow, myself included, and my children's children, to a world that accepts everybody as they are. And I really wanted to say that, because it's something that has been said, but probably not enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. William, you're next.
My name is William Russo. I am the chairman of the membership committee of the Italian Heritage and Culture Committee of New York. I'm also a member of the Sons and Daughters of Italy, Lieutenant Joseph Petrosino Lodge. I'm also the founder of the Anna Quadrino Fund, which is associated with Caring Kind, the premier Alzheimer's and dementia caring organization in New York City. And I think that's important because we have to remember. We have to remember, all of us, our heritage, that we are all Americans from various sources, except, of course, Native Americans and indigenous people who are here already. And my concern is at the establishment of this commission. At first, I thought it was unnecessary, but I also look at it as an opportunity to correct distortions, to talk about our common heritage, and also to bring our diverse communities, including indigenous people and people from all origins of the world, together. And we should not miss that opportunity to bring people together. I ask you to save the Columbus Monument. There's been plenty of testimony on its behalf on saving it, and that it not be removed, altered, or vandalized in any way. Commission members, we of Italian ancestry, and I'm speaking for all those who have even 1% of Italian ancestry, because after all, Sicily was conquered by the Moors. And thank Ancestry.com for revealing the fact that all of us have multiple origins. We could sit in this room and we don't know who is from where. And in Italy now, they're experiencing their own 1960s civil rights era in which black, white, people from Eastern Europe are all mixing together. This is not an Italian issue. This is about heritage. And speaking of heritage, the immigrants who decided to leave their native country, the Italian immigrants, left with tears in their eyes on a one-week journey across the ocean. Their hero that they celebrated in 1892 had a similar journey. It was Christopher Columbus, known as Cristoforo Colombo to the Italians, and Cristobal Colon to the Spanish and Portuguese, whose descendants are alive to this day, and who would be abhorred to know what's going on. So yes, Columbus did have faults, but we were all, as the trite expression goes, in this together. And we have to learn to respect each other's culture and identity as true Americans. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and Jose, you're next.
Thank you for holding this today, and I'm sorry a lot of people seem to really dislike you. Not that it's undeserved, I'm just saying a lot of people seem to dislike you a lot. I'm a 19-year-old from the Bronx. I live right off Jerome Ave, and I came down here to Staten Island. I'm not Italian, but I love Italian culture, and I love its people more. Only Italians could bring something so beautiful into this world. Going back to Nicholas of Cusa, Leonardo da Vinci, Giuseppe Verdi, and even Pavarotti. That's the beauty and the art that they've contributed to the world, but more importantly, the scientific discoveries that they've contributed to this world as well. It starts with Nicholas of Cusa in finding a quote-unquote new world. Columbus carried that mission with him on that boat that he sailed across the ocean into the mid-Atlantic ridge. He used an astrolabe. That's a tool not a lot of people know what is today. I actually know how to build an astrolabe. See, truth is a funny word because you can say anything and then say that's truth, and nobody will check if you're right or wrong. So how do you get past that? You just do it. I'm with the Foundation for the Revival of Classical Culture, and our mission is to teach history by doing it. We follow in the footsteps of what Christopher Columbus tried to do, and we recreate that. We bring his mission over here. We build an astrolabe to truly understand what was his thinking. You wouldn't call Neil Armstrong an idiot. So why would you call Columbus an idiot, that he just stumbled on America? It was just an accident. It was not. They knew the world wasn't flat way before Columbus even journeyed across. Somebody mentioned here that he tried to get to China, which is true. He even had to know his wind current. See, people have tried to do it before, but they get in the middle of the ocean and then they die because there's no breath of wind. The point I'm making here today is that this is a scientific discovery and achievement, and the statue represents that. There would be no America today had there not been this scientific discovery. And yet people want to overlook that and only see the negatives. The people who make history are often imperfect, but the things they do are perfect. One point I want to bring up is I see 4 of you here, yet yesterday there were 8 of you. 2 of you left in the middle, and I heard that there's 30 of you. So how many people are actually hearing the opinions of the people who are here today? I'm just curious. Hey,
The secret.
that's all I got to say.
First meeting.
I still got 14 seconds.
Okay. I'll address that at the end. Desine Vitrelli, Michael Cetera, and Loretta Drogon are next. I'm sorry, your name is?
Loretta.
You're Loretta. Is Michael Cetera here? Or Desine Vitrelli? Are either of you here? Okay. Then let me ask, okay, how about, okay, Desiree Bodie, here, take this, I'm sorry, or Joseph Pedriano?
That's me.
Okay, come on up. And how about Desiree Bodie? Oh, okay. Okay, okay, good, very good, thanks. All right, so you're on the left, you're Desiree? Denise. I promise you I didn't. But we're okay, thank you, Rick. Denise, and then Joseph, and then Loretta. Go ahead, you're up.
Hi, I'm Denise, and I represent Curtis High School. And I believe that taking down the statue is not going to do anything for our history. It's just gonna like sugarcoat the history that we already have. I'm sorry, 1 second. I feel like our history is not only good. We have the bads and we have the good. And the bads and the good are the ones that built us and made us who we are today. And it's not about Columbus only. Because if we take that down, someone else is going to say, oh, I hate this statue. I think it's offensive too. Let's take that down. And little by little, we keep taking our history. Little by little, we keep hiding it from our generations. And it's going to get to a point, our next generations and the future generations after that are going to think, oh, the United States was just peachy, was perfect. Everything was fine. But we know that it's not. And no one is saying it's perfect. It's okay, that whatever. But we accept what we have. Whether good or bad, it made us who we are today. And those statues have history and stories behind it. No matter what it is, it's still part of us. It's still part of us, and we're still working on it. So our next generations are supposed to know about the goods and the bads, so that they can make better decisions and ahead of it, and not repeat what mistakes that we made in the past. Because if we took it down, we could have taken those statues down or erased history back then, but no one did. Because if we take this statue down, Columbus statue down, more is going to go on. Buildings are going to be taken down too, because there are buildings that have history with them too. They're going to get taken down because, oh, it's offensive to other people. Let's take it down. And we're shrinking our history, our history and our story, little by little, little by little. And I don't think it's right. We need to keep the statues there and let them stay where they are, so people know that the American history is not only good, it's bad. And all this stuff combined to make us who we are today. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph, you're next.
Hi, how are you? Good morning. I'm vehemently opposed to touching any statues. I'm gonna write this, I have this speech right here, actually. I'm vehemently opposed to the tampering or removal of the statues. These statues are important relics of history, and they should not be touched. As an American, the removal of the Christopher Columbus statue or any of this monument or statue will not be touched because it will ultimately erase history, and by erasing history that is unacceptable, and it will ultimately make our future generations of this country think that we did not have pioneers, innovators, discoverers, and leaders. While it is clear that some people believe that who these statues or monuments were modeled after or named after had controversy, it is also clear that these people made tremendously positive impacts on American history. Bill de Blasio and the entire city council are explicitly going against America, except for the 4 members who are in the minority. The progressive liberals talk about learning about the wrongdoings from our past and respecting all cultures. Well, apparently they're acting hypocritical because they want to remove the statues of American innovators, pioneers, discoverers, and leaders. By the way, destroying statues denigrates this country tremendously, and as you know, it desecrates our flag and harms our country. It's just as bad. What you're doing is what the British did to the White House back in the War of 1812. What you're doing is committing self-destruction against America and American history. And quite frankly, Bill de Blasio and the City Council should put their partisan anti-heritage and anti-American agendas aside and think about how the removal of statues will affect history and destroy history. And specifically as an Italian, with regard to the Columbus statue, it is extremely offensive to me to take down a historical figure who made a tremendously positive impact on Italian history. And while Christopher Columbus committed some wrongdoings that were considered as cultural norms, I think that it is wrong to tamper and touch history. And if Christopher Columbus was erased from history, the question would be this: who founded the European culture in America? Additionally, as a 4th-generation Italian American, I feel that erasing the history of Christopher Columbus because of political correctness of the far left might as well erase the history of the Italian American ancestors like my family who came here. I feel it's very offensive. And my ancestors made remarkable accomplishments on Staten Island as well as many other Italian immigrants. In fact, not only do I believe that we should keep the Columbus statue, but we should also name the 3rd ferry boat after a great Italian immigrant family.
Okay, thank you. Loretta, you're up.
Good afternoon. My name is Loretta Drogan, and I am here for a number of reasons. Primarily, the first 2 are that I believe I can testify as a veteran educator in the Department of Education of the City of New York. Number 2, on behalf of my ancestors, from whom I am proudly descended as Italian Americans. First off, I'd like to share with you a personal anecdote from my family. My father was one of a very, very large Italian-American family in Port Richmond. My mother came from Rosebank, the other Italian enclave of immigrants. From Avellino, Italy, Campania. When the epidemic of 1918 struck, the pandemic of the Spanish flu, known as influenza, killing people worldwide, the Doughboys brought it to Staten Island. My 33-year-old grandmother was pregnant at the time with her 11th child. She died in that pandemic. Does that resonate with anyone? Nobody did it deliberately, but she died, leaving the 10 children behind. At the time, the oldest was 12 and the youngest was 18 months. My father and the male siblings, all only speaking Italian, after being placed with family members, were placed in Mount Loretto, the Mission of the Immaculate Virgin, founded by the famous Irish Father Drumgoole, who sheltered, fed, and nurtured those Italian boys. The girls weren't placed there. They were given there to gumadas, their godmothers. Okay, I'm going to be brought to tears telling you this story, hence my name is Loretta. Okay, that's an Italian-American story from Staten Island. True. My father spent 7 years there. My grandfather went every Sunday with the pasta and the meat, with a horse and wagon for Mr. Portiera from Port Richmond. He was the greengrocer. I was married there. I'd like to share with you the rest of the story. Felipe, my grandfather, and Angelina, the immigrants, he came 3 years before her and worked like an animal to bring her and the older children here. They weren't all born here, but my father happened to be born here. When they came out of the home, he was placed in Port Richmond, you all know the place, Public School 20, where his teacher was teaching a class about Italian Americans. And she said to the class, Italian Americans have dirty feet. This is a great antidote in my family. Why do they have dirty feet, boys and girls? Because they're from crushing the grapes, which is one of their industries. So my young father said, for which he was then disciplined and sent to the principal, you take off your shoes and I'll take off mine. We'll see whose feet are cleaner. He then went to serve with all of his male siblings, and my mother's from Rosebank in World War II, in every branch of service. Don't touch that statue. Don't touch it. And I, if I may have another moment, fully support that we build that darn statue in Fort Wadsworth that was approved in 1912 for my friend Marjorie Bald Eagle and her family in honor of the Native Americans who walked on Fingerboard Road on Staten Island. I love them to pieces and I support them. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, not applause. This is okay. Thank you. This is how we do it. Thank you very much. Okay. Christian Melendez, Audra Obeng, and Mark Amoruso are next up. Okay, you on the left are Audra. Adua. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
And then you are Christian, and you are Mark. Okay, Adua, you are first up.
Okay.
Let's start on the left.
What time is it? Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Audra Obeng, and I'm the student body president of the Treaties. Okay. At first, I wasn't gonna really voice my opinion or say anything about the whole statue, but after hearing most of everyone's feelings and their testimonies, I decided to make my own testimony. Well, before everyone left, I wrote, it upsets me to see such childlike behavior coming from people of a certain age. Grow up. Although I may not agree with your opinion, I do value it. Let's not reflect on the past, but focus on the present. Let's include more statues such as Shirley Chisholm, who became the first African-American woman elected into the U.S. Congress in New York's 12th District. Maya Angelou, who was a fearless civil rights leader not only for African-Americans, but for all. In summation, let us keep the Columbus statue, but let's also enhance it. Let us enhance the plaques and markers to bring awareness of how Italian Americans are prideful about the statue, but also how others view the statue as well. Thank you. And I feel, guys, I'm so sorry for everyone's bashing you and, being very rude to you. They're humans too. Don't bash them. It's not nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, no applause. Christian, you are next.
Hi, my name is Christian Melendez. I'm a current senior at Curtis High School. Nicole Miliotakis used a word called historical negationism or nihilism, which means an illegitimate distortion of the historical record. Even if you were to overlook the not-so-minor fact that millions of people were already living in North America in 1492, the fact of the matter is Columbus never set foot on our shores. In fact, October 12th marks the day of his arrival to the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Assemblywoman Miliotakis should know this, as he did touch the shores of now-named Cuba. Columbus first met the Taino population that now doesn't exist due to European mistreatment, diseases, and other malpractice. The people that are really affected by this statue aren't here today to voice their opinions. They no longer exist. They were completely wiped out. But I digress. Columbus is a beloved figure to all across the nation, and especially to Italian Americans. And such love should not be denied. I propose that such facts that I stated, and is not necessarily well known, should be added to all public statues of Columbus.
Thank you. Mark, you're up.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Mark Amoruso, proud Italian American, a native New Yorker, a Navy veteran with a combat tour in Afghanistan. As a member of the military, we take an oath to the Constitution to defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Erasing history, for better or worse, and that's also in the eye of the beholder, as many have testified, is what totalitarian thugs do, such as Stalin, Mao, Hitler, Pol Pot, and what ISIS is currently doing. The so-called Monument Commission is right out of the Socialist Communist playbook of Pevin and Saul Alinsky, his book, Rule for Radicals, whose foreword is, by the way, dedicated to Lucifer. This intolerance for history is, at the end of the day, a way to chip away at our freedoms and have a state control over our populace over a period of time. I question the commission, is Malcolm X on your chopping block? Because within many of our lifetimes, he said, the white man is the devil, if that's ever a racist statement, I ever heard of it. But Columbus and Malcolm X should remain, as all monuments should remain. As many of the young students here, it was pleasant to hear their take on history. I guess they are still teaching history in some schools. As is noted, there are only 4 commission members here, and there are 30 of you, apparently, or more. How many? I'm not sure how many, but there are only 4. What you should do, or I should say, this is why hypocrisy is so dangerous, is because hypocrites like de Blasio and many members of the city council somehow can get elected and make rules and commissions and laws to control the populace and change history. What is the discovery? I mean, is America not discovered because it was there already? It doesn't make any sense. So I hope you have the courage to do nothing. That's what you should do, nothing. And bring it back to your other commission members. Because history will look upon you, and someday there'll be a monument with all your names on it, showing how radical you were in destroying the history of America.
Okay, thank you. The next 3 are Owen Swartz, Jacob Morris, and Carinda Longretta, looks like. And again, thank you for the students who came. I think another class is leaving. Thank you very much. On the left, you are Owen, okay. Do we have Jacob Morris here? Oh, good, okay. Jacob, you're going to be... And Carinda? Longretta? Well, just we have to see if Carinda is here.
Carinda already spoke.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, then how about Karen Vanderdonk? Is here? Yes or no? How about Talib Abdur Rashid? Okay, you're up. You're on this group. Thank you very much. It looks like we're zeroing in on the last couple of panels. So, Owen, you're on the left? Yes? Let's, okay, Owen, you're up. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for having us here. And I feel like I'm at a Catholic church after communion. Nobody staying, but... the panel does not discriminate. My name is Swords, not Swords. I'm not from Italy. I have been a resident of Staten Island since I was 5 years old when I came to the United States, and our family did quite well. I was going to read a big long litany of exactly what everybody else said. I'll get away from that with a little story. My grandparents were honored, rebellious people in Ireland and received many awards for their activities. As a child, my grandmother used to say she imported linen and never mentioned what was underneath the linen. But they belong to an organization that is now considered wrong. I still honor them. My wife is a daughter of the American Revolution. They fought in the war upstate. There's a plaque to the family. But they also fought against the Native Americans first. Should we dishonor them? Today, we're fortunate to have every side of the story surrounding the event. But does that impose an obligation to remove monuments for everybody? People have been erecting monuments since forever, and people will continue to do so. We should expect that those honored were honorable in regard to the norms of their times, but we also have to expect that society's norms will be changing, hopefully for the better. So long as the achievement associated with the monument continues to be honorable, and the person does not engage in anything severely unacceptable to their time, there's no reason to hide or rewrite history. Let's use monuments for permanent teaching and learning moments, not for one-time statements through the fanfare of their removal.
Thank you. Mr. Abdur Rashid.
Thank you. I'm Imam Talib Abdur Rashid. I'm the Imam of the Mosque of Islamic Brotherhood congregation here in New York City. We pray for wisdom and discernment for our city.
Can you please speak right into the mic?
Even as we pray the same for the nation. We thank the mayor for convening this hearing and you for being part of it. A key question germane to this moment in the history of our city and nation is, how does one heal a broken nation divided by injustices and trauma of the past? Surely we are not the first city or nation to be confronted by this question, nor will we be the last. A review of recent history indicates that once a nation becomes fractured by acts of injustice and oppression, resulting in atrocities, genocides, and various measures of physical, psychological, and spiritual trauma, that society can only be healed through truth and reconciliation. And recent examples of this would be the nations of South Africa and Rwanda, and then back decades ago to Germany. There can be no doubt that today, 152 years after the end of the American Civil War, America remains a divided nation in need of healing through truth and reconciliation. It might disturb some to hear me say it, but I believe fervently in the reality conveyed by the words of Andrew Hacker in his 1994 book, Two Nations. Therein, Hacker quotes Benjamin Disraeli, the philosopher, who, upon viewing the disparity between the rich and the poor in England, described them as, quote, two nations who are as ignorant of each other's habits, thoughts, and feelings as if they were inhabitants of other planets. I believe that this analogy can be extended to America, with white folks on one side and people of color on the other. Hacker states, these two separate societies have existed from the start. In every city, we have a dual society, two economies, two housing markets, two school systems. This duality has brought about a great deal of injustice. Our society cannot be healed through denial, but rather through truth, acknowledgement, repentance, justice, and degrees of forgiveness. This is a matter of principles, not personality. It's not just about Columbus. It's about the statue of Dr. J. Marion Sims that's over in Manhattan, so-called father of gynecology, who operated on enslaved black women, not white women, black women, enslaved women, not free women, and perfected his gynecological techniques on them, even though they were not anesthetized. And lastly, our nation is traumatized and divided, and it is the maintenance of monuments from the culture of the conqueror, not the conquered, the exploited and not the exploited, the victimizer, not the victimized, that perpetuates this societal division. And so again, we pray that this council will look at this matter. It's not just a matter of taking down statues. There should be, and perhaps you will recommend, some educational measure that can be taken to correct these notions of history that some people view as history, but the rest of the people don't view it as history. We review your depiction of history as being revised.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Jacob Morris.
Hi, Commission and Commissioners. I really appreciate you guys, and I'm glad that you got formed. I really am, and you heard me testify in Queens. I believe I raised some important points in my testimony in Queens. Because then I saw myself on all the major media talking about the Tweed Courthouse. And gee, he had a point. Boss Tweed was the most corrupt elected official in our city's history, and his name is on the Tweed Courthouse. And that's the headquarters of our public school system, and there's something wrong with that. So, a plaque, a statue, a street naming, a park naming, these are honors. These are honors. These are people we honor. Do we want to honor Boss Tweed? Do we want to honor Richard Riker, who got kickbacks from all the bounty hunting rings in New York City to issue certificates of removal from his court so that little black children could get kidnapped and sold into slavery before the Civil War while he was chief magistrate of our city's system of justice? And his name's on Rikers Island, an island that symbolizes and is the reality of injustice. So, do these people deserve to get honored? And I defer to my friend next to me in regards to Dr. Marion Sims. That man does not deserve to get honored. Boss Tweed does not deserve to get honored. So then people ask me, they say, because this is what I didn't raise the last time, but it's the question I get asked, and I've been asked this question for more than 10 years. It's like, okay, Jacob, so you want to take his name off the island or the courthouse. So then who do you want to replace it with? So for the Tweed Courthouse, Andrew Haswell Green was a lawyer, New York City planner, and civic leader. Considered the father of Greater New York, he's responsible for Central Park, the New York Public Library, the Bronx Zoo, the American Museum of Natural History, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art. He saved City Hall from destruction, and he was brought in when Tweed got put in jail in 1870. He was brought in to be the controller in New York City, and he used his own personal credit to pay the teachers and the police officers and a whole lot of the rest of the city employees with his own personal credit until 1876. His name belongs on that courthouse because it wouldn't even have been finished if it wasn't for Andrew Haswell Green. As far as Rikers Island, let's call it Injustice Island because that's a damn good name for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have some more cards? Yes, okay. Thank you.
I have written copies of
Yes, if you have written testimony, you can give it to Nadia, and she'll take it. Thank you very much. Okay, and if you have written... Okay. Karen Vanderdonk, Pearl Barkley, and Phyllis Zito, you are up. And is Deborah Myers here? You're going to be on our next, okay. We have not forgotten about you. And I'm sorry, your name is? You're Phyllis, okay. And you are? Pearl. Is Karen Vanderdonk here? If not, I'll ask Deborah Myers to come up. Okay. Is this it so far? Okay, it looks like we have our last panel. And if we would start on the left, I guess, in your Deborah, yes? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to the Commission. My name is Deborah Myers, and I attended the hearing in the Borough Hall of the Bronx on yesterday. I was there. And something prompted me to get up this morning and travel here to Staten Island to witness this testimony here at Staten Island, which is very completely, different to me. And I first want to just thank the young people for coming out and for the teachers who brought them out. And I want to thank the many people who came out to testify on behalf of what is about, to occur. Yeah, on yesterday I spoke about my story and about my child. And I just want to say I'm in support of the statues remaining where they are. And I support it because I view the statues as works of art. I know there's a lot of historical content within those statues. But like I said on yesterday, the beauty of those statues are in the eyes of the beholder. And it's how we interpret the history of those statues. Some view it from a historical point of view based on your nationality, your race, or your location. I only view them as works of art. And I think that this commission is dealing with art more than the historical content. And we must remember that. I learned a lot since I have come and attended this hearing. I've learned so much. We are not a divided city, as some may say. We just have different opinions from our different experiences. And like I said, I respect and I love all of the cultures of this country and of this city. And I think we need to respect all cultures. And we also need to appreciate the art and the hard work that went into the making of those statues. I don't want to stay here very long, but thank you, Staten Islanders, for coming out and standing up to your belief and to fight for what you believe in. Thank you so much. I wish that more politicians, more pastors of churches, the movement of Black Lives Matter. So if Black Lives really matter, I would have seen this room full of those people, and I do not see them. If you care, I would say you would have been here. And to all of the people who are against those statues remaining, I want to say to them again, if you cared, you should have been here. Because I came all the way from the Bronx, so it doesn't matter where you live. If you really believe in what you truly believe in, then take a stand. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, next up is Pearl.
Members of the Mayoral Advisory Commission on City Art, Monuments, and Markers, and fellow citizens. My name is Pearl Barkley. I'm a resident of East Harlem, El Barrio. Ethnically, I am an African American. Politically, I am a descendant of Africans enslaved in the United States. Racially, I am Black, white, Native American, and other variables which make up my identity are child of God, a woman, mother, grandmother, etc. But none of these variables have in any particular order. I am speaking to you today to express my perspectives and position on the debate surrounding the removal of statues of Christopher Columbus and Marion Sims. The nature of argument implies that anything and thereby all things can be debated on. It is my perspective that the fact that a debate on the removal of the statues of Christopher Columbus and Marion Sims is a debate reveals that much more work is left to make America a society which is rooted in the ethics that it has espoused to the world. Liberty and justice for all as inalienable rights. That's what we were told, and it was not done. Surely both of these men deserve a place in history, as does Adolf Hitler. But not as honorable men or persons to celebrate. Why? Because their actions demonstrate the darker side of humanity, which emerges when it is guided by the ends justify the means as a cradle. Both of these men, one in the name of discovery and the other in the name of science, partook in actions which tortured, maimed, and killed women and men whose descendants live here in America and indeed make up a substantial part of the population that contributes to the society through culture, social ideology, and economics, to name a few. The debate can be settled quickly if the question is asked, how would these men be judged if they committed these atrocities today? The ancient Egyptians, or as they called themselves, the Comedians, endeavored to live according to the laws of the art, which mandates that truth is to be lived yesterday, today, and tomorrow as truth. Therefore, what is true today was true yesterday and will be true tomorrow. It is this lack of following truth at the crossroads which is the reason why the Lenape Indians are fighting the Pilgrim Oil Company today. Thank you.
Thank you. Phyllis Zito?
Zito, yes.
Zito, yes. Thank you.
Goodness gracious. Okay. I'm a native Staten Islander. I'm very proudly Italian. I was reared to be very proud because Italian Americans, like most Americans, have been subjected to various discriminations, okay? But you know what? We have to take ownership. We have to take ownership of our history. I mean, it is what it is. It's a young country. A lot of terrible things happen in this country, but you know what? It's American. It's Americana. It's what brought us where we are today. What we can do is, in the future, is learn from this and be more diligent, perhaps about the research when we put up a monument. But our history is what it is. We're going to change every monument's going to be destroyed or removed. I don't see the wisdom of that. You know the expression, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater? There has to be something redeeming about Christopher Columbus, like the rest of us. So I say, don't remove the statue and don't remove others either. But in the future, then you could do more diligent research and prevent all this, perhaps. Thank you.
All right. So do we have, that's it, okay. All right, so I wanted to just thank everybody, and I do want to applaud everybody who's still here. Thank you very much. I will applaud you the way I asked you, okay. And there was one, I think, a legitimate question. Some people were saying how many people are on the commission, and I believe that the number is 15. There are, the list of the commissioners is on a website, which you can go to and fill out a questionnaire as well. We've had several thousand New Yorkers have gone to that website. It is nyc.gov/monumentscommission. And there's a, what's that? Oh, it's on the screen, yes. On the bottom, nyc.gov/monumentscommission. So people who couldn't make it today, we are diligently, we have a staff member diligently reading through all of that stuff. All of the testimony is going to be digested and brought back to the commissioners. Many of the commissioners were at, again, this is our 5th one. So we've had 5 of these, and as you know, you were in the Bronx. Yeah, so different people have come to different ones. We had a very good turnout. I just want to really thank everybody. This is democracy in action. We're really happy that people came out, that expressed their opinions, and I want to thank the commissioners for making it. And I will give a gold star to one commissioner who is at the end, who's been to each and every one of these. That is John Cavelli. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.